Hey all, today let us understand the shipbuilding sector, which is a strategically important sector from the international trade perspective. This sector is dominated by only a handful of Asian countries with over 80 to 85% contribution. India's share to this sector is way too less, despite India's GDP contributing around 8 to 10% to the global GDP. Let us further understand what steps Indian government has been taking for our country to emerge a significant contributor to the shipbuilding sector. Lastly, we will also look at some companies or stocks operating in this sector. So, what exactly is the shipbuilding sector? Shipbuilding companies are majorly involved in construction of ships, where they manufacture ships as per their clients' requirements. Key activities include designing the ships and in-depth engineering and architectural planning. The ships which shipbuilders make are bulk carriers, container ships for transporting various types of goods across the globe. They also manufacture tanker ships for transporting crude oil and petroleum products like LNG and LPG among other chemicals. They also manufacture specialized offshore support vessels for offshore oil and gas operations. Lastly, they also make military vessels like warships and submarines and other specialized naval vessels. For instance, Mazagon Limited, which has made over 25 warships and several submarines. Shipbuilders are also involved in maintenance, repair, and overhaul activities wherein they carry out routine maintenance of ships and, if required, for dry dock operations where more extensive repair work is carried out, taking the ship out of water or rebuilding a specific part of the ship for systems upgrade. Shipbuilders are also involved in dismantling the ships which are no longer in use. Lastly, shipbuilders also tie up with financial institutions to provide their ships on a leasing model where they get regular payment for the duration of the ship's operations. Now, let us look at the revenue contribution to the shipbuilding companies. Major part of revenue, around 50%, is contributed by commercial shipping companies which are involved in import and export business, as around 90% of global trade is carried out on sea. Then, government and defense contracts contribute to 30% of their total revenue. A small portion of 15% comes from offshore oil, gas, and renewable energy sector companies. Lastly, the remaining revenue comes from passenger vessels like cruise and ferry lines. These are rough estimates of revenue for the shipbuilding sector and can vary significantly depending on different companies' operations. In the global landscape, United Kingdom and European countries have traditionally dominated the shipbuilding sector because of the invasion from the British Empire in many countries and trading of indigenous goods to England. However, after the Second World War, Asian countries like South Korea, Japan, and China started dominating this space. This was because of their government support and policies in this sector, young population, skilled engineers, lower labor costs, and innovation in advanced technologies to make high quality ships. Further, China is also one of the largest producers of steel, which is a primary raw material for making ships, leading to China building quality and cost effective ships. Because of these competitive edges, Japan, China, and South Korea hold over 80% of the global shipbuilding market share, and China alone contributing to around 45%. Now, when we talk about India's role in this sector is when it gets interesting. I will give you a moment to estimate India's significance globally in terms of percentage contribution, and I'm pretty sure many of you would get it wrong. It is less than 1%. Global shipbuilding market size was roughly 145 billion US dollars in 2024, and the Indian sector was valued approximately at 1.1 billion USD. In fact, to meet the domestic import and export trade requirements, India itself is widely dependent on global shipbuilders. But here's the interesting part. This sector is projected to grow to 8 billion US dollars by 2033 with an impressive CAGR of 60% according to the Ministry of Ports. The reasons for such high growth are India's strategic location and labor cost advantages, but these have always been the case. The major important reason is government's initiatives and aims to make India one of the top 10 shipbuilding nations by 2030 and one of the top 5 nations by 2047. These opportunities, clubbed with rise in global trade in the next few decades, could help India achieve this high growth. However, we should consider this growth with a pinch of salt, as India lags in developing cutting edge technologies compared to leading nations. Outdated infrastructure also needs to be upgraded for better efficiency, quality, and capacity. There's also a shortage of skilled labor, particularly workers with expertise in modern shipbuilding techniques and automation. And to equip India with all these requirements would need huge capital. Further, one major challenge also exists in global trade itself. International trade of various goods might see fluctuations because of geopolitical crisis and regulations set by different countries. This can add to significant volatility to the demand of ships. Lastly, there is an extensive competition from China, South Korea, and Japan. To cater to all these challenges, the government in this year's union budget has specifically announced several initiatives aimed at boosting the shipbuilding sector, like Maritime Development Fund of Rs 25,000 crores to provide long-term financing to this sector. Further, custom duty exemptions are extended for another decade on raw materials used in shipbuilding manufacturing. Other such initiatives have also been taken to provide seamless and low-cost financing to this sector from private companies, foreign direct investors, and financial institutions. And lastly, let us look at some of the stocks operating in this sector. Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders, Cochin Shipyard, Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers, and VMS Industries. However, investing in these companies right away may not be wise without understanding their business model. For instance, Mazagon Dock predominantly makes ships for defense, whereas PMS Industries is involved in shipbreaking after its use. We will do fundamental analysis of these stocks in the videos to come. Hope you find this video quite informative. Until next time, thank you.